right now. There we go. Welcome back to CrappieKast in-depth series mapping side scan episode 3. I'm Shane Jones.
John Farmer.
Y'all know us from CrappieKast live on Thursday at 7 p.m. This is episode 3, so we're kind of getting into the mapping, and John sent some pictures of some side scan and down scan, and this is after you actually found a spot on your mapping and or area you already know, and you're gonna go in there and try to get more precise on where you're gonna be fishing. So John shared some of the settings, and I'll let John name them off, and then when you see this recording on Facebook or YouTube, you will be able to see the picture, John. But talk about these settings. This is Humminbird. This is a Helix. So go ahead and talk about that, John.
Okay. From top to bottom, like Shane said, if you want to go there, go to YouTube or Facebook and look at these. He's got a picture here. This is kind of where I start. It's a good base of where to start with your settings on a side image on a Humminbird unit. I've got sensitivity set at 14, side imaging contrast set at 7. Then this particular unit is a 12-inch unit, so I shoot out a little bit further than you might want to do with like a 7, 8, 9, or a 10-inch Helix. I'm shooting out 85 feet on each side of the boat. So basically what they're saying is scanning 85 feet to the left and right of where the transducer is. I scan out both sides. You can take it and scan just left side or just right side. And in this case, it's set on both, so it's looking out left and right. Your chart speed, you usually want to try to match that with how fast you're going on the boat. In this case, I've got it bumped up maybe one more than what I normally run when I'm scanning. I've got it on 5. Typically, my boat runs around 4 when I'm scanning, 4 miles an hour. The color palette is on 2, which is a kind of an orangish color. And we have the side imaging dynamic contrast on. And the way you'll get to these, to where you can adjust this, is go to the side imaging screen and you'll hit menu. When you hit menu, then it'll pull up all these options that I just read off. And you can adjust each from top to bottom where I just read off each one and start from there. And if you're clear or dirtier body of water, you might have to play with some of those to get it where it looks the best for you.
Yeah, those settings are going to get you in the ballpark, guys. I'll show you. You'll see some pictures, and later on when you see this recording and how clear these images are. But like I said, we went over mapping, went over Onyx, we went over Navionics. We used Google Earth. We've found some areas, and we're side scanning, and we're going to show you some pictures of what John has taken, and it shows fish on your side scan, the shadows and everything. And John explained to you. Then, like John's going to tell you, if you're really unsure what to do. So let me scroll up through here, guys, and get to this side scan picture. That's the dock. We don't want that one. There it is, John. That's a perfect scenario. Describe what we're looking at here, John.
Okay, that right there, that's a stump. For those that you can't see it, it's showing a stump, and it's got some white dots around the stump. The stump looks like a stump, a shadow of a stump. It's got some white dots that you can see, and then there's also the black dots. What the black dots is, that's the shadows where that transducer shot that beam out there, and the white is where it hit the fish. The shadows is where it didn't receive that beam back, and that's how the side imaging works. It shoots the beam out, and it's sending just pulsating beams out, and then it interprets what it gets back from those sonar beams, and that's how you get the picture of this. So when we go into another picture here, I'll explain it. You'll see like the fish they'll be like lighter colored than what your palette is. Sometimes they're shinier, they'll be white, and then you'll look past them, and those shadows will kind of tell the truth of what size those fish are. The bigger the shadows, the bigger the fish.
Right. That is a clear picture, guys. And to me, it kind of looks like, describing it on the podcast here, it looks like bird shot in there, where it's shot on top. You see a lot of, you're getting a lot of return. There's a bunch of fish on this. you can see some big time shadows below it. But when you see that, guys, if you look from the center line of your boat, that's out, what, 20 feet, John? Something like that. I don't know, 25, 30 feet.
Yeah, it's in that range. That's correct.
Yeah, and water's depth's 13 foot. So, those fish are probably going to be, 7, 8 foot deep or right in your wheelhouse. Like John was saying in the last podcast, try to find fish in your wheelhouse you're comfortable fishing. But that is a perfect example. I think it's today. What are we looking at here, John?
This is two stumps together. They're smaller and shorter. So in these next few pictures, when we look at them, and once you get a chance to go look at them, you can scroll over to an image on side imaging with your arrow and hit the plus button, and it'll zoom in. You can continue to zoom in, I want to say twice or 3 times, and it makes, just like you're taking a magnifying glass on that portion of what you're seeing, and it makes it bigger. So sometimes you'll be like, dang, that kind of looks like something. You scroll over to it, and then hit plus, and it'll make that picture bigger. So these stumps here, they weren't very tall. I'd say 2.5, 3 foot, 2.5 foot stumps, but the fish were stacked up on top of them. So what we got, for those of you who are listening to the podcast can't see this, you can actually see the stump, see the little white dots, and then you can also see those shadows that we just talked about. Well, in this case, unlike the last picture, the shadows are bigger. So when I saw that, this is most of these pictures, the last one was, these pictures that we're going to look at here in the future are from today. I went this morning and took them. Shane's like, go get us some fresh stuff to look at. And I said, all right.
Exactly. Yeah. It was, John, you can also, when you take your cursor over there and look at that, if you like it, don't you hit mark and it puts a waypoint right there?
When you run that cursor over there and get in the middle of it, right on that stump, you hit mark and it'll mark that stump. But you can also, once you've zoomed in on the stump and you get that plus sign and it's made it bigger and you're sitting there, it's magnified, you can take your arrow at that point and you can move it around and magnify wherever you want to go on the side image. You don't have to just do it one time. You can move what it's magnifying around. Say, oh, I think that's another stump right there. Move it up or move it down, move it right, move it left. You can kind of keep the magnification going. But the key to seeing these things is getting out there on the water and playing with the side imaging, because what happens is get where your eye picks up on it. Like, one of the hardest things to see, a lot of times people will put bamboo in 5-gallon buckets, and as time goes on, they'll start losing its limbs, and it's just poles sticking out of 5-gallon buckets. They're very, very hard to see once they get like that. They still hold fish. So I talked to Shane about this before. I said, a lot of times it's not the bamboo that you're looking for, it's the bucket. So if you see that bucket, you learn, if your eye gets trained, it's like, you know what? There's a 5-gallon bucket because I've seen one before.
Yeah, those buckets are distinctive, like John's saying, and stake beds are real hard to see too. You have to really tune your eye to that. So
let's just say that you saw something and you're second guessing yourself and you mark it. So the best way to go back, other than going and taking forward facing sonar and looking at it, another thing you can do if you want to keep moving and keep scanning is come back over it with down imaging and just come right back over, dead over your mark.
Yeah, let's see. There's a down imaging picture right here, John. There it is, right there.
There you go. That down image is a smaller cone. It's looking right dead below the boat. It's going to give you more detail. It's just taking a finer snapshot of what's below the boat. So I always tell people when I go up with them and try to help with electronics, I say, you're second guessing yourself, do that loop, come back around, and after you mark that side image, come over the top of it. And a lot of times what happens is you didn't see something. It might have been shad, or you come back over and say, oh, that was bait. So what you can do is don't forget to do this. Delete that mark on your graph. Don't leave a mark on your graph. It's not a good mark. That way, the next time you go fishing, like, man, what was that? You going through the whole scenario looking at something that ain't worth a crap.
Right. I catch myself running up the middle of the river, John, and I glance over and I'm like, man, it looks like a good tree. I just marked the center of the river So that way it gets me. I'm like, dude, that looks like a good tree. And then later on, I'm coming. Why did I mark in the middle of the river? I'm looking. Oh, that tree right there. And I do. I mark stuff as I'm going down in the middle of the river. I know if I mark it in the middle of the river, I'm obviously not fishing in the middle of the river, but there's a left side, the right side. There's something that I want to go investigate a little further. So.
And you can watch some people when they see you catching a fish when they're riding by you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're reaching up, scrolling up, and you're 100% correct. So
They'll be riding by you, and you'll see them stick that hand up there, that graph, and you know what they're doing. They're marking you because they've seen you catch a fish there, so they're like, I'm gonna come back and investigate that later.
exactly. Yeah, you can't. All modern technology, guys, you can't really hide nothing. That's why I say, hey, you're gonna fish other people's brush piles or whatever. Hey, if you're sinking brush piles, it all works out. But that downscan picture, you see these fish congregated like that, and then now necessarily, like John always says, these fish are up on top of this stump, and they're probably hot. Them fish are probably bite. When they're up there that high above it, when they're down in it, they got, right this time of year, they got a bad attitude, but maybe those fish right there probably be biting. So
I was, I don't know if I told you about this, but this morning, what's today's date, Shane? Give everybody a little.
Today's the 19th, September 19th.
All right, so it's September the 19th. The lake I've been fishing is a mix of white and black crappie, and we've been majority catching white crappie because like we always talk about, they'll bite more when it's warmer. But this morning started getting that little bit of mix, and black crappie are starting to do a little something. Which morning when I got up at daylight, it was 7 degrees. So
yeah, what was it? It was cool. Was it 57? You said?
Cool it off, and that fall bites is going to get.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we're kind of all waiting on, guys. So we went over the Humminbird Helix settings. We looked at some side scan pictures. This is the down scan. We're going to keep on going and look. That's the stumps we just looked at. That is a dock, John. Explain to people what I'm looking at here. Describe it without them seeing the video. We went over this on the live before, but that dock right there is ridiculous. So.
It looks like a hornet's nest under it.
Okay. Yeah, it's unreal.
From what you can see in this picture, this is a floating dock. It looks like you can see some boxes that are up in the water column. And that's actually the floating portion of a boathouse dock. Down below it, it looks like a bunch of little white docks. And it's all fish. There's probably 200 fish.
Oh, it's unreal. It looks like a potato truck spilled out right there. It is unbelievable, guys. When you're side scanning, you see that it's blatantly obvious. You're like, whoa, that's something. And the good thing is, you see them on the side scan. You get in there with your live scope or whatever. You really don't have to have a live scope in that scenario. You're just gonna shoot in there and count your jig down and whatever they bite. You don't need side scan to get the job done right there. So.
Shane can always tell them, like a lot of times I'll be on the boat scanning around here, or hear him say, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." I clean the spot in.
Yeah. Oh. I can close my eyes and know if we're fixing to catch a fish or not. Especially when I'm fishing with John. But that side scan is loaded, man. Let's see what we got here. That's some more stumps, of course. That's an interesting picture right there, John. That's an old picture, but hey, I found a bunch of boats. But what are we looking at here, John?
So in this particular picture, that's a boat ramp off the Alabama River. I was putting in one day. I can start bringing my electronics to the boat ramp. I'm turning around. I call out the corner. I think that's a car. I said, you know what? I'm going fishing. Mess my mind up right now with it. Went fishing, come back, scanned it. Sure enough, it was a car. I reported it to the authorities. They came back, set a dive team in there, and it actually got linked to a missing person report, and it was a Chevy S10 Blazer.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
You can see it. You can see the front windshield and all. That's the reason why I'll show you this picture, guys. Those settings John shared, look how dialed in. You can actually see the front windshield on this, and can tell it's an SUV kind of in that picture. I mean,
oh, we were like, we thought it was an SUV. My buddy, the Border Patrol, I talked to about it, and we were just kind of kicking around. We were both kind of excited when they sent the dive team in there to go get it. Kind of guessed, what it was going to be. I mean, I said, man, a hatchback, something like that. because there was some more pictures. I had some pictures of it, on live scope, and then that on side imaging. And actually, when they went and drug it out, one of the axles came off of it, and it's still there. So when you go put it in that ramp, you can still see one
I
axle.
still see the axle out there. Crazy. Like I said, nowadays, guys, if you're trying to hide a car, it's not good to try to put it in a lake that you can get boat access to, because
Oh,
somebody's going to see it. I guarantee you. I promise you. Let's see what else we're looking at here and make sure I hadn't missed anything. There's only so many pictures, example, guys, we can show you a side scan, but we're just trying to get you. A lot of people are intimidated. They have all these electronics and they're like, man, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like John said, take your cursor over there. You got a bullseye and run that thing over there and hit the plus sign, and it's going to zoom it in. You're going to be, hey, man, that looks like fish, or I'm unsure. Then drop your live scope or throw a buoy out if you don't have a live scope and go over there and start fishing. And then, when I first started fishing for these schooling fish, these blackfish in the fall, I seen some on the side. I was like, man, those are not shad. Those are a lot bigger marks. And it end up, they're shaped like a pyramid or a sideways pyramid or like a Christmas tree. And you're like, that's them, that's them wolf packs that people describe. And then I started being able to pick them up as I was going down the river. Like, oh, there they are. And I'd mark 3 or 4. And like John and was saying on the last show, drop your trolling motor, run out there and go catch them, chase them down. And that's the funnest way to catch them to me. I mean, John just got through doing it last week. But to me, it is that you can catch a lot of fish, fast. The fish are usually aggressive when they do that. Gonna catch all of them, but you'll catch a bunch of them out of those packs.
when they're eating, and that's on. It's oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is an example of one right here. I mean that's a thick back blackfish right there, son.
I actually, that fish had some barring in it.
I seen it. He's got a little hybrid look to him, don't he?
That's why I took a picture of it. I was like, I'm not always to say it, but I could see some in it.
I see a little distinctive too, but like I said, we're going over this mapping, and there's only, we try to cut these shows to 30 minutes unless we really get to rambling and giving a lot of information out. But we went over the settings, we went over what the side scan picture looks like and stuff. And now, this mapping side scan stuff, there's not going to be a lot of these series of this mapping. Then we're going to start going into rigging and different techniques. So John reminded me of a technique this weekend. I had some fish that were being stubborn on a stump. And I've seen them every weekend, and I catch 1 or 2, and John was like, hey, man, put you a split shot, hook you a minnow, and swing it through there and work it just like a jig and just take the slack out. Man, I popped 7, 8 of those fish, and I was fired up because I accomplished something, because those fish have been hard-headed. I mean, that's a deadly technique to use, especially, especially somebody that don't jig fish a lot or hasn't jig fished, because, I mean, they can feel that fish load that rod up. I mean, it's fun.
And the good thing about it, when you're doing that, you got that split shot. That's an identifier.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely see it.
You can see the split shot, and then that minnow's bucking around acting crazy. And see it too, because a lot of times people, when they get started out, they have trouble picking up their bait.
Right.
Things like that. Whether you're putting a bead above a weight to make it glow, so you to pick up your bait. Things like that will help you. And the more confidence you build with it, of course, the better you're going to get with it.
That's right. When you're just barely out of that beam or not in the center of it, and you have that split shot or like a bead, like John said, you can peg a bead, take you some bobber stops and peg you a bead or whatever. But I use that. I call it swinging a minnow. I'm just swinging a minnow through those fish, and man, they load up the rod. And the good thing about tail hooking that minnow, it was kind of weedless, because the point was barely sticking out of the minnow. Those minnows I use are pretty big, those crappie minnows. So that was a cool technique, because I was like, man, I picked up a lot of fish doing that. But I went in there, I side scanned those stumps, I went into a live scope, and I picked a hot little area out by this point in this big old creek and pinpointed those certain stumps. And they've always had fish on every time I've been in there, and they've been aggravating and stuff. But hey, I swung a minnow through them, and hey, caught them. Did I catch a limit? No, but hey, it was a success to me, because I've been looking at those fish for 2 or 3 weekends. So always, John, like I said, always keep minnows on your boat if you're really, especially on me guiding and stuff. I'm gonna have to keep some minnows on my boat, as much as I don't like to. But this time of year, you're fixing to be in the fall, you can keep them alive. So,
if you you're listening to this and you didn't get a chance to watch the video we put out last week about mapping, this kind of ties into it. So what we talked about last week was what to look for on the map, and this week we talked about side imagery. You found, like Shane said, you found it on the map. Now let's talk about how you run two side scan. All right, so obviously you want this is not obviously this is how I like to do it.
Right.
I'll certain water depth and I'll run up that contour line. You don't want to be running all like starting in 10 foot of water, running down to 30 foot and just keep them getting deeper and then coming back up. You can do that, but if you can run and then run up a contour line and just keep going and cover that depth of water and say it's 15 feet of water, get on that 15-foot contour line and just run up it. And what you're doing is you're covering that column of water. If you start finding fish in that column of water, then hey, I'm where I need to be. I'm finding fish. Let's take out that 4 to 8 foot of water right now, and let's focus on what I've been looking at, not the 25, but that this contour line of 15 feet right now is working for me. Let me keep running it.
Right. Don't leave it to chance. I mean,
Right.
you got all this equipment. Don't leave it to chance. Say, hey, man, I'm starting to see some fish, 8, 9, 10 foot of water, and keep running that. Like you said, run that line. John and them, they set my side scan up to different color codings for different depths. Like that green is in my wheelhouse. I think it's from 8 to 13 foot. I don't know exactly what it is. I'll run that green, and I'm running it till I can find as much structure as I can in that area. And then, like I said,
When he
you're
said
not leaving a chance. That's right.
green on the map, that's the he's running in the green. Got his color shaded on the map.
Right.
So when I come to a new body of water, and when I'll run that line, and I might make me 4 or 5 marks, and then I'll start back at the first one I made, whichever way is downwind. So I want to start on the downwind side. I'll fish those 5, and I thought, all right, that's a good start. If I've caught fish on it, if they weren't worth the flip, delete them off your map so you're not junking your map up.
Right. That's right.
You can scan, stop, fish, but you're going to be doing a lot of up and down, dropping a trolling motor, pulling it back in, getting back there, you're on your starter on your big motor. If you'll just run and you can find you 4 or 5 marks that are fishable off the trolling motor that are together, start back, whichever one's the downwind one, get your nose going into the wind, fish that one, hop to the next, and hop to the next. You build a small pattern right there.
Right. And then you can get on your navionics again and go find that bend or that inside curve on a river system like you just found fish, and start. Even if the fish aren't biting like this time of year, you're putting together your little catalog. You're putting together a mental and a catalog on your depth finder to go find these fish. Excuse me, depth finder in your Humminbird, your Helix, or your Lowrance, or whatever you're using. It doesn't take a 12 to do all this, guys. You can do it with a 9. It's just like John said, you can't scan out as far, but you're putting something together, and that's why we're doing these, to try to help you get you a pattern instead of just saying, I caught some on these stumps and running in there and dropping on those stumps. Try to go find you some more areas to find those fish, because they move around on you. Believe me, I found a bunch Saturday evening. I told John, I was like, man, they're loaded. The bait's in there. Went there Sunday, ghost town. For no reason. The bait's still in there. The water temperature is nothing, no rain on it. It's just, you're like, they're just gypsies, they're on the move. So they may have went on back further. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to investigate it further, but use all these tips and stuff that John and I are sharing with you, and put together some patterns, man. Like I said, that we're trying to make you a better fisherman by sharing this information. Just, what John's learned over the years and showed me, and what I've learned a little bit. It's just trying to save y'all some time, because most people that watch this show are working people. They work during the week, just like we do, and then you're fishing on the weekend, so you don't have a lot of time, and you want to, maximize your time on the water. Hey, start taking mental notes from these kind of podcasts and different stuff. Any information you can get that may help you.
And we're talking about size of helixes or whatever solixes, whatever side imaging. I've helped people set up a lot of them. The best picture I've ever seen on one was on the Helix 10. I've set up some other 10s, but I don't know what it was, that that unit and that producer, but the best picture I've ever seen on one was on Helix 10.
Right. And the good thing about it, you can pick up those Helix 10s. I bought mine for $600-700 a guy had, and it's a Gen 3. You'd be surprised what you can find those things for. I use it for mapping, and of course I got the bigger one at the console, but to me, Helix has kind of got the side scan down. I'm not saying it's, Hummingbird's got the side scan down. No, it's not the only one. Lowrance is good too, but Helix is user friendly to me. Those settings John shared, I'll share them again right here. Those settings that get you so in the ballpark, and because a lot of times when you don't have those settings, same way with live scope, it's not you're not gonna say you're lost, but it is not maximizing your potential of the electronics. I promise you. So.
And like we always say, if you got a question beyond this, shoot us a message.
Yeah, exactly.
On Messenger. My Facebook's John, Jessica Falmer, James got Shane Jones Fishing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And if we don't see it, we're gonna, when we do see it, we're gonna respond to you, because sometimes I do want to say this: if we're not friends on Facebook, friend us, because I don't know what it is. Sometimes people.
Yeah, the request gets lost. You're exactly right.
It gets sent over in that other queue, and I don't always check that.
Right. Just hey, friend request us, guys, or and we'll message you back. I have people message me all the time, man. I had a guy call me last night that's coming in for the Crappie Expo. He's gonna fish Logan Martin just to fish it, and he asked me. I told him I hadn't been on it. I said I'll give you some creeks to go check out. In our area. He's just coming down fun fishing, gonna visit us at the expo and check it out. The expo, I'm gonna put this out tomorrow morning, but the expo starts Friday morning at 10 o'clock. John and Jessica and I are gonna be right there in the booth, booth number 7. John and them's gonna have some shirts like he's got on right there. If all goes well, I'm gonna have some third hand products, the hooks that go on the side of your unit to hold your rod and stuff. I should have those Saturdays, hopefully. Chad's trying to ship those out to me as fast as possible. We'll have a power brake display. You'll be able to put your hands on the power brakes, let it up and down, see the craftsmanship of the way it's built and the breakaway system and stuff. So we're gonna have some fun.
We're gonna be tying. I'm gonna tie some jigs.
Oh, that's right. John's gonna be tying jigs for some kids.
He said, "I think I'm gonna borrow somebody's kid so I can watch you tie some jigs." I was like, God.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time, guys. We're gonna be up there 3 days, man. And hopefully one of our buddies is gonna be leading the tournament. We're hearing it's tough up there, and some people like that toughness. So a lot of people from different states and stuff are getting a shot right now because they're getting used to those blackfish in Alabama with a bad attitude. There's a bunch of them right now. So
you get to learn what the Coosa turn is.
Yeah, the Coosa turn, exactly, when they run that butt up there. Oh, you shoot! What are you doing? You just went all the way to the top of the water and shot my jig down. But guys, without getting too repetitive about this stuff, we shared some down scan and side scan settings. I sent some pictures. You can always go back and refer to these. Good thing about the internet and everything, these things are on there permanently, guys. They're going to be on Facebook, and they're going to be on YouTube, and of course this is going to be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You'll be able to listen to it going down the road. A lot of people tell me, hey, one of John and his buddy, or Ryan Dooley, he messaged me the other day, and he does loan service. He said, man, I've been listening to y'all for 4.5 hours. And he's one of the best fishermen in the country, but hell, he's enjoyed it, and we appreciate him listening to it. But
I hope Dooley's having a good practice out there. He's out, there for the Crappie Master National Championship. I hope he's having a good practice. I hope all our friends have a good practice. But it's hard. You ever met Ryan Dooley? It's like him.
Oh yeah, it's hard not to like him, guys. We've had the privilege of having a lot of good people on this show, and a lot of people that watch the show and share comments with it and answer questions as we're going on the live and stuff. But we're going to end this episode, man. We try to keep them about 30 minutes because everybody's attention span ain't too long unless you're really the live. We got a bunch of interaction with a lot of different people. Here it's just John and I just discussing stuff that we can think of here as we take notes. But we appreciate y'all. Like I said, we're going to be trying to do this every Tuesday and try to put it out Wednesday morning. CrappieKast Live is at 7 o'clock. on Thursday. We're live right there. Bring your questions. And again, any suggestions you got, topics we need to cover, rod, reels, we're going to start getting into all kinds of stuff. Different rod and reel setups, why we use it, why, you may use it. And then we'll get into stuff, what not to do, what not to buy, that we've learned over the years. So, John, I appreciate you being on here. We're going to end this thing. And like I said, I'm going to put this out. This will be out Wednesday morning. What is it? The 20th? Yeah. And we're going to do it again. We'll see y'all live Thursday night. And we're going to see you at the Crappie Expo starting Friday, 22nd through the 24th. We'll see y'all. Enjoyed it, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed this podcast. Like I'm going to get it right. Leave a review. Leave a review and let us know what you think of it, man. And let us know and get us some feedback and let us know what this thing's doing. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you.